Hello students, this is Ashutosh here, and we will start the class soon. So I request all of you to please join and ask your friends who are taking this course to join this meeting. I will start this class soon in a minute or so. Meanwhile, the link is open for everyone who is requesting to join. Anytime you can join, and today will be today we'll be looking at lecture week 6. So this is a problem solving session for lecture week 6, where for this course Professor Ankur Avadia has taught about forests and the laws. So the format would be same. I have developed 10 multiple choice questions for you guys, of which only one is the correct answer, and we will go through each of these questions briefly and find out the correct answer, and go through the explanation briefly why the correct answer is the correct answer. Okay, and general instructions for everyone joining in this class: please turn off your mic and video chat for smooth conduction of this session. Let me be the only one who is speaking on the mic, and you can communicate with me through the chat box. Post your queries and your answers in the chat box, and let's hope this would be an interactive session. So I hope you have all gone through all the 3 lectures from forests and law, which we are going to solve some questions today. So let's wait for 5 more minutes for more students to join, and we will start this session soon. So 10 multiple choice questions. I don't think it will take much time. We have time till 5 p.m. Let us try to wrap up this quick, since I'm also doing some experimental work in my lab. Okay, so let's start in exactly 5 minutes, and I will share my screen after that. So, hi students, I think it's time to start this session. All of you, whoever has joined, we'll start this session soon. So let me share my screen. So again, we are going to look at example questions from lecture week 6, where Professor Ankur Avadia has taught about forest and law, where we are dealing with forest fires, the laws that protect the forests, and the enforcements. Okay, so let me just share my screen here. I hope everyone can see my slides and hear me clearly. Can you see the slides changing? Just let me know with a yes or no or a like in the chat box and we can move forward. Okay, okay, thank you. So, so I welcome you all to Forests and Their Management Week 6. This is the course taught by Professor Ankur Avadian. Course code is NOC 26BT23. And my name is Ashutosh Behra. I'm a PMRF scholar who is the teaching assistant for this course, who is here to help you out with the live sessions from IIT Kanpur. Okay, so this is the format that we are going to follow. I have 10 multiple choice questions which I will post on the screen, and you guys let me know what is the correct answer in the comment box. And we will discuss each question briefly and thereby solve all the doubts behind the concept of these questions. Okay, so question number 1: invasive climbers increase the probability of which of these fire types? Okay, invasive climbers increase the probability of which of these fire types? Option A, ground fire. Option B, surface fire. Option C, ladder fire. Or option D, firestorm. Understood the question? Let's take a minute or so to collect all the answers in the chat box. Mention what you think is the correct answer and I will reveal the correct answer in a minute. Okay. I see many people have selected the answer. Invasive climbers increase the probability of which of these type of fires? Swayam says C, Purva C, and Om says C. Let us look at what is the correct answer. Correct answer is C, ladder fire. Very nice, all of them have answered correctly. Ladder fire is what is result when invasive climbers climb these trees. The surface fire or ground fire gets climbed into the ladder and reaches the canopy. So what is a ladder fire? A ladder fire happens when flames climb from the ground up into the tree canopy. This occurs because of ladder fuels, vegetations that lets fire move vertically like a ladder. Okay? So let us understand this. So we have, this is the ground level, and there is this fire which is the surface fire, and then we have this tree which has the canopy here. So generally the surface fire stays on the ground level and does not reach the canopy. But if the trees have invasive climbers, and these vegetation can actually connect the surface fire to the top of the canopy. So these vegetation, these climbers will act as a ladder which will connect the ground fire to the top of the canopy. This is the canopy, and this is the surface fire, and these are the climbers. So the fire will kind of climb like a ladder from the surface and reach the top of the canopy of the tree. So this is known as ladder fire. For example, if you look at this tree, there are these climbers which actually let the fire climb these trees, whereas these trees which do not have the climbers, they are safe and there is just ground fire. Whereas the climber or any vegetation which helps the fire to climb from the surface to the canopy is called ladder fuel, and this type of fire is called a ladder fire. Okay. Now what are the different kinds of fire? We have surface fire, which is majorly on the surface of the trees, on the bushes and on the grasses. Then we have crown fire, a rare type of fire, but when the crown or the canopy of the tree gets lit up, crown fires burn through the forest canopy, consuming live and dead foliage. And then ground fire, which undergoes inside the ground level. It is often invisible and not seen. It is below the ground level. While this ground fire is on the canopy or above the ground level. So surface fire burn through materials like needles, moss, lichen and small vegetation, whereas crown fires burn through the forest canopy, consuming live and dead foliage, and ground fires occur primarily in the decayed roots below the surface. So when you have fire in the roots, it's the ground fire. When you have fires in the surface level bushes and grasses, it's the surface fire, and on the tree crown is the crown fire. So any ladder fuel or ladder fire or invasive climbers which leads the surface fire to the crown is responsible for this ladder fire. Understood? Is it clear to the students? We learnt about different kind of wildfires and how invasive climbers on trees can lead to ladder fire connecting the surface fire to the crown fire, like this. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let me know in the chat box with a yes or no. and we can move ahead to the next question. Very good. Okay, question number 2. Which of these forms the fire triangle? Okay, another question, easy question. Which of these forms the fire triangle? Option A, fire, air, heat. Option B, fire, oxygen, wood. Option C, fuel, air, wood. Option D, fuel, oxygen, heat. Okay, the options can be confusing. You have to look at them very carefully. Which of these three components form what is known as the fire triangle? Let's take a minute or so to look at these options and collect all the answers in the chat box. Okay, I think it's enough time. Let us look at people who have answered. Om says option A, Pranjal option A, Swayam option A. Okay, let us look at what is the correct answer. Which of these forms the fire triangle? Correct answer is option D, fuel, oxygen and heat. It's not option A. Right? You guys got it little bit wrong. Fire, air, heat does not form the fire triangle, but what is forming the fire triangle is the fuel, oxygen and heat. No issues, you do not have to worry. You will get another chance to get your answers right. Let us understand what is the fire triangle. The fire triangle or combustion triangle is a foundational model illustrating three essential elements required for fire to ignite and sustain combustion. Okay, so what are the elements which are needed to start a fire and to sustain a fire burning? Which is heat, fuel and oxygen. So it cannot be fire itself, because the fire triangle mentions whatever elements needed for starting a fire. So first thing that it needs is fuel. Fuel means any substance which is combustible. In the forest, it is in the forest case, it is dry timber, dry leaves, twigs and etc. Then the second important component is oxygen. So air contains 21% oxygen. So that is a source for sustaining a fire or making an ignition to start the fire. And then heat. Without heat, there is no fire. So the temperature of the fuel has to rise in the presence of oxygen to create a combustion or a fire. So removing any one of these elements breaks the triangle, extinguishing the fire. So this is known as the fire triangle. Three components: fuel, oxygen and heat. And removing any of these elements will break the triangle, extinguishing the fire. So examples: heat. What are the sources of heat? Sparks or friction or lightning, open flames in the forest. And thus when you remove this heat by cooling or example adding water, the heat is subdued, therefore there is no fire. What is fuel now? Their fuel examples can be wood, paper, gasoline, dry leaves, fabric, etc. Removes fire by taking away the combustible material. So if you have no longer fuel, then there will not be any fire. Oxygen, air contains about 21% oxygen, removes fire by smothering. So CO2 based extinguishers, which actually subdue or smother the oxygen content in the air, helps in extinguishing the fire. So now an upgraded version or the latest version of the fire triangle is what is known as a fire tetrahedron. And in the tetrahedron there is a fourth element which has been added, which is called chemical chain reaction. So we have two types of chemical reactions: endothermic reactions and exothermic reactions. Endothermic, which requires energy to drive a reaction, and exothermic, which gives out energy on completion of the reaction. So now chemical chain reaction is the fourth component which creates the fire tetrahedron. Now why? Because not just to start a fire, to sustain a fire you need a chemical chain reaction which are exothermic in nature, which gives out heat and light energy, thus sustaining the fire. So that makes the additional component, making it the fire tetrahedron. While the fire triangle, which is consisting of fuel, heat and oxygen, explains how a fire starts, the tetrahedron includes chemical chain reaction which explains how a fire keeps burning and spreads. So this is also important. Not only the start of a fire, whatever is required, but how a fire can spread is now included in the fire tetrahedron. Is it clear to the students what are the three elements of the fire triangle and how a fire extinguisher is designed? If you remove any of the three components, then a fire will be extinguished. Is it clear to the students? Then let me know with a like or a yes, and we can move forward. Okay, cool. Moving on to the third question. A scientist uses a trap to capture a monkey. In the context of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, what category does this fall into? Option A, the trap is a weapon and capturing is hunting. Option B, the trap is not a weapon and capturing is hunting. Option C, the trap is a weapon and capturing is not hunting. Option D, the trap is not a weapon and capturing is not hunting. So read through the question carefully. The options can be confusing. And in the context of Wildlife Protection Act, you have to tell me, when a scientist uses a trap to capture a monkey, what category does it fall into? Okay? So please type your answers in the comment box and I will be back in a minute to tell you what is the correct answer. Okay, let's check the comment box to see what students have answered. So Purva says option A, Om says option A, Darshini says A, and Swayam says A. So let us look at this question. So here the statement says that there is a scientist who uses a trap to capture a wild monkey. And so to understand this, whether this is a weapon and if this act is hunting, we have to understand the definition that is laid down in the Wildlife Protection Act as per the Constitution of India. Okay, so I'll reveal what is the correct answer to this question. You guys are correct. Option A is the correct answer. This trap is a weapon and capturing the monkey is classified as hunting in context of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So now, what is the Wildlife Protection Act and what does it suggest? What are the main points that the Wildlife Protection Act strives to fight for? So the first thing, the Wildlife Protection Act, which was passed in 1972, protection against serious threats by expansion of agriculture, industry, as well as urbanization of the forests. Hunting is prohibited except with permission of authorized officers, which we have already seen, where the chief wildlife warden can authorize certain hunting or killing of wild animals in only under certain conditions. Blanket ban on carrying out any industrial activity inside protected areas and reserved forests. Act went under many amendments to introduce more rigid measures to strengthen the act. And the bill proposes to highlight the ecological and environmental objective in the long title of the Wildlife Act in order to extend its area and also encompass the wild animals as well as the forest. So this is the Wildlife Protection Act is a comprehensive legislation enacted to protect not just animal species but the plant and specified endangered plant species as well, ensuring ecological security by controlling poaching, hunting and trade. It established protected areas like national parks and sanctuaries and introduced 6 schedules to classify species based on their protection levels, such as Schedule 1 animals like the Bengal tiger and the Gharial crocodile. These are Schedule 1 animals which need utmost attention and their hunting and poaching is prohibited. And based on their rarity and extinction levels and the position in the ecosystem, the Wildlife Protection Act introduced 6 schedules to classify species based on their protection levels, with Schedule 1 offering the highest penalties. So now, and what is the definition of hunting under this Wildlife Protection Act? Under Section 2 of this Wildlife Protection Act, hunting is defined broadly to include capturing, killing, poisoning, snaring or trapping of any wild animal or any attempt to do so. So not only just the actual killing, poisoning, snaring, even the attempt of doing it can be classified as hunting by the chief wildlife warden or the forest officer. So in our question, the scientist is using a trap to capture the monkey. So trapping falls under the definition of hunting in Wildlife Protection Act. So this is an act of hunting. It also includes driving, baiting animals, injuring or destroying any body parts, or even damaging the eggs or nests of the birds and reptiles. Not just the animal, if you are trying to damage the eggs or the young ones of the animals, even that can be classified under hunting in the Wildlife Protection Act. Now, what is a weapon? What is the definition of weapon in Wildlife Protection Act? A weapon is defined as any instrument or apparatus capable of injuring, destroying, killing, or anesthetizing an animal. This broader definition includes ammunition, bows, arrows, explosive, firearms, hooks, knives, nets, poison, snares, and traps. So none of these instruments can fall apart from the definition of this weapon. Even when you are trying to anesthetize the animal without actually killing it, this can also be considered as a weapon. Any kind of bows, arrows, explosives, guns, snares, and traps are all weapons. So the scientist is using a trap to capture the monkey. The trap is classified as the weapon, and capturing the monkey or by trapping the wild animal is classified under hunting. So therefore this is an act of the trap is a weapon and capturing the monkey is hunting. Is it clear to the students? We understood the definitions of hunting and weapon as mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act? Okay, very good. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. In the formula I is equal to P into A into T, P refers to dash. If you guys remember this formula, then you can answer this question easily. In the formula I is equal to P into A into T, P refers to dash. Option A, professional pressure. Option B, pollution pressure. Option C, population pressure. Option D, none of the above. So for your hint, I is standing for impact on the biodiversity or impact on the ecological stand. You have to tell me in I is equal to P into A into T, what is P referring to? Okay, let's take a minute and you post your answers in the comment box. I'll be back to reveal what is the correct answer. मुझे दिखा था, बहुत थिन ऐसा जेल का वो है, इसे उठा के हम फेंक देते हैं जेल टैंक। So before the blade comes back, we have to pick it up. प्रॉब्लम पता है क्या हुई है? जो सीन किया है, चारों यूनिफॉर्म की ग्रुप में। नहीं बट इसको फिर कैसे रखना है? इसमें भी स्पेसेस है, रखा है कि नहीं? देखो देखो रिकॉर्ड कर रहे तो कुछ ठीक है। हाँ बट एक लेयर तो कट रहा है एटलीस्ट यूनिफॉर्म में। नहीं अभी नहीं कट रहा, अभी तो सिर्फ जेली कट रहा है तो एक ही लेयर कटेगा। वो जो पहले हुआ था वो बीच से हिमालय हो गया था, तो वो उसके लिए वो किया ना हमने, वो थोड़ा अरे जगह बनाया हुआ था। अच्छा, यहाँ से इसको यूज करके मुझे ऐसा भी लगता है ये वाला बहुत यूनिफॉर्मली जेल बना है, जब इमीडिएटली हमने वो तो है ही है, वो तो है ही है। दो लेयर, हाँ मैं ये कह रहा था कि देखो बिल्कुल एज पे है वो टिश्यू, तो मतलब बिल्कुल सेंटर नहीं हुआ था, या तो पूरी इस साइड से ट्रिम किया था, नहीं टिश्यू के पास ट्रिम किया था। हाँ तो थोड़ा सा और छोड़ के करो, छोड़ना ज़्यादा करो। वो एक्चुअली ना वहाँ एक क्रैक आ गया था, ओके हाँ तो क्रैक को लेके फिर काट दिया। वन 37 माइक्रोन का कट रहा है, मतलब ऊपर का एक्स्ट्रा ट्रिम हो रहा है। अच्छा अभी क्योंकि वो नहीं आया है टिश्यू हमारा, फिर 75 वापस कर देंगे, तो स्टॉप करके बस 75 कर देंगे तो करने लगेगा। तो फिर HPSS में ट्रांसफ़र करने के बाद क्या इसको भी मेल्ट करना होगा? किसको? ये जो जेल है, ये जो एब्रोज है, ये कैसे मेल्ट होगा फिर? क्यों मेल्ट करना? नहीं करना। कल्चर फिर इसके साथ ही करोगे? तो वो स्लाइस बोलते हैं। Okay, let's check the comment box for answers. Darshini says option C, Purva C, and Swayam says C. Okay. So, in the formula I equal to P into A into T, P refers to population pressure. So, option C is the correct answer. Very well done. So, let us look at the IPAT equation. Now, what is this IPAT equation? The IPAT equation is widely used simplification of the factors causing environmental degradation, where I is equal to impact on the environment, or what is the impact of any factor of on the environment. How is that calculated? It is calculated as a product of three attributes. One is the population, the second is the affluence, which is consumption per person, and T is stands for technology or impact per unit of consumption. It's crucial to remember that the three factors are intermediate causes, not the root causes. So population is directly proportional to impact. Higher the population, there will be more impact on the degradation. Now, what is affluence? Consumption per person. What is the requirement? What is the requirement per person for consumption? That is directly proportional to the impact. More the requirement, more is the I or impact. Suppose there is a population of 100 which has a requirement of 1000 kilograms of rice. Now, if the population reduces to 10 individuals, this requirement per person, if it is still 1000 kilograms of rice, then the overall impact depends heavily on consumption per person. So, with the same population, if the consumption per person goes down, then the impact on the environmental degradation will go down. If let's say even for 100 people, the rice consumption would be 100 kilograms, then the impact would be equivalent to 10 people with rice consumption of 1000 kilograms. And the last factor, which is technology, impact per unit of consumption. What is the technology available to extract the resources from the environment or the ecology? Extract the resources. What is the technology available to extract the resources from the environment, leading to higher impact? If you have higher technology or the rate of consumption, impact per unit of consumption, higher technology, then impact will be higher. So therefore, P stands for the population pressure in the IPAT equation. Is it clear to the students? You guys have answered very correctly. So you are well adept with this IPAT equation. If it is clear to the students, let's move ahead. Let me know with a yes or no or in the comment box. Very good. Moving on to the next question, which is again on the IPAT. An easy question indeed. In the formula I is equal to P into A into T, T refers to dash. Option A, transference. Option B, time. Option C, technology. Option D, none of the above. I think you guys do not need much time to answer this question. We have discussed the IPAT equation in the previous question. Let's take 30 seconds to collect all the answers. All the students, I will encourage everyone to answer. You don't have to turn on your mic or video chat. You can post your comments in the chat box. ठीक है इसको रीस्टार्ट कर लेंगे. Okay, let's not delay it any further. The correct answer is option C, technology. All of you have answered correctly. Darshini, Rohan, Om, and Purva, well done. So again, I is equal to environmental impact, where P is the population, and A is the affluence, which is consumption per person. T is the technology impact per unit of the consumption. So here T is the technology with which we can extract resources from the environment or the forest area. P is the population, and the affluence. What is the consumption per head of the population? What is the demand of the resource or the forest area which can cause an environmental impact on the forest? Very good. Now looking at question number 6. Which of these is a stochastic factor? Option A, birth rate. Option B, death rate. Option C, population structure. Option D, forest fire. Which of these is a stochastic factor? Let us take a minute and collect some answers. Please post all of the answers in the chat box and I will be back to reveal what is the correct answer. निकला क्या? हाँ निकला. हाँ मेरे पास नहीं है. अरे एक होल दिख रहा है. बट ये स्लाइस से अलग क्यों हो रहा है? Okay, let's come back to this question and check the comment box for answers. Darshini says B, Purva says B, Rohan and Om says D. Okay, I think there is a bit confusion between students. Which of these is a stochastic factor? Correct answer is option D, forest fire. Forest fire is a stochastic factor. Okay, it's not death rate or birth rate or population structure. These are all deterministic factors. Now let us understand what is a stochastic factor. What does it mean? Stochastic factors or random unpredictable events significantly impact population dynamics by causing fluctuation in growth, stability and extinction risks. Stochastic factors are random factors which are unpredictable and which can impact the population growth by causing fluctuations in stability, growth and extinction. Stochastic factors affect small population much more severely than large ones. Okay, let us understand with an example what is a stochastic factor. Let's take a population of let's say 10 individuals. Okay, and in the 10 individuals we have 5 males and 5 females. Let's say this is a This is a tiger population. Now there are many kinds of stochastic factors such as genetic variability, natural disasters, let us see how does it affect the tiger population. Let's say due to genetic variability, what will happen in the next generation? These 5 males will mate with the 5 females, but what happened? Due to natural disaster, there was a forest fire, due to which 3 of the females are dead, and then 2 of the males are also dead. So now the new population consists of 3 males and 2 females. Now they will mate against each other to give rise to 6 individuals. Now due to genetic variability, genetic factors such as inbreeding depression, since the population is small, there will be inbreeding depression. It means recessive alleles which are dangerous to the population have accumulated, and because there is a mating between related individuals, there will be decrease in population. So all the 6 individuals progeny won't survive. So now the population of 10 has now decreased to, let's say, 5 individuals because the progeny of many did not survive. So these chance or random events that happen, which are genetic factors such as inbreeding depression, which is recessive alleles coming together, in a generation, and forest fire or natural disasters. These form the basis of stochastic factors which actually affect smaller population very drastically more than large ones. Now if instead of 10 individuals we had 100 individuals, stochastic factors could have reduced this to 50, but since we have enough number of males and females, the population would boom up in no time. And then with larger number of individuals, there is less chance of recessive alleles coming together, because many of these individuals may not be direct brothers and sisters which mate to give rise to recessive genes. Recessive mutation accumulation. Therefore, a natural calamity like the forest fire is a perfect example of a stochastic factor. Is it clear to the students? What is a stochastic factor? Which is a random, unpredictable event impacting the population. It can be natural disasters, can be genetic mutations, and many other man-made factors as well, such as deforestations, let's say, habitat loss. All of these account to stochastic factor which may occur at random to any population, affecting its demographics. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then we will move ahead to the next question. Let me know with a like or a yes in the chat box and we can move ahead. Okay, seems like we have to move ahead anyway. So again, looking at the different types of the stochastic factors. Demographic stochastic factor, the birth and death rates affecting small populations. Environmental stochastic factors like habitat conditions, all populations. Genetic stochastic factor, in gene pool diversity, it affects mostly small and isolated populations. And catastrophic stochastic factor, which affects entire population or the local populations. Now moving on to question number 7. The acronym HIPPO does not include dash. The acronym HIPPO does not include dash. Option A, habitat loss. Option B, habitat enhancement. Option C, over harvesting. Option D, human overpopulation. Okay, you guys let me know in the chat box what do you think is the correct answer. Which of these does not fall in the acronym HIPPO? हाँ. Okay. So people have answered. Purva has answered option D. Om has answered option D. Okay. The acronym HIPPO does not include option B, habitat enhancement. It's not human overpopulation, option D, because human overpopulation is present in the acronym HIPPO. Habitat enhancement is something which is odd one out, not present in the acronym HIPPO. Okay. Now let us understand what is HIPPO. The HIPPO acronym, coined by biologist Edward O. Wilson, identifies 5 primary human driven threats to biodiversity in descending order of importance. The first and foremost important factor, human driven, which is impacting biodiversity, is habitat destruction. Any act of human driven activity leading to habitat destruction of the wildlife or the wild areas of the animals can impact the biodiversity to the maximum extent. Then comes invasive species, species which are not native to a particular area, which generally do not have predators. Then comes pollution. The fourth factor is population, human growth, and over harvesting. So this is the acronym for HIPPO: habitat destruction, invasive species, pollution, population, and over harvesting or over hunting. So human overpopulation is a factor, over harvesting is a factor, habitat loss is another factor, but not habitat enhancement. And these factors represent the leading causes of current species extinction and ecosystem degradation. Is it clear to the students? Is it clear to the students? If yes, then we will move on to the next question. Okay, let's move ahead. Question number 8. A veterinarian uses an immobilizing gun to capture a deer. In the context of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, the immobilizing gun is a weapon and capturing is hunting. The immobilizing gun is not a weapon and capturing is hunting. Immobilizing gun is a weapon and capturing is not hunting, while option D is immobilizing gun is not a weapon and capturing is not hunting. So you have to read this statement clearly. A veterinarian uses an immobilizing gun to capture a deer. So, in context of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which of these fall under the category? Let me know what you think is the correct answer. Mention your answer in the chat box, and I'll be back to this question in a minute or two.
हाँ है दो तीन बट टिश्यू थोड़ा सा डिसलॉज और फोल्डेड है तो दूसरा आपको जो एक सेकंड लॉट सेकंड ब्लॉक जो इम्बेडेड था वो करते हैं फिर करो थोड़ा सा हम लोग क्या करते थे वो जो मोटा वाला ब्लेड है ना नॉर्मल सर्जिकल ब्लेड हाँ इससे भी कर सकते हो हाँ इससे भी कर सकते हो थोड़ा सा सरफेस में अगर थोड़ा सा होगा इसको नहीं लेते हैं वो बेटर है क्योंकि अभी 10 मिनट लगेगा नया ब्लॉग बनाने में और सेक्शन करने में 40 मिनट लगेगा उसके बाद नहीं
ये
आएगा
ऐसा लग रहा है कि इसका जो एंटीरियर है वो ऐसे है, इसको ना ऐसे बिठाना पड़ेगा।
ओके चलो ट्राई करो फिर ट्राई करो तो ऊपर वाला चलेगा नीचे वाला फ्लैट कर दो
नीचे वाला यहाँ तक काट लो।
एक चीज़ ये भी थोड़ा सा देख हाँ बस एक चीज़ ये भी देख सकते हो कि अगर टिश्यू बिल्कुल एज पे है और वही एज ब्लेड को सबसे पहले मिल रहा है तो फिर टिश्यू टूटने के चांसेस ज़्यादा है ना टिश्यू डिसलॉज होने के एग्रोस से तो उसको थोड़ा अपोजिट फेस या फिर थोड़ा सा डायगोनल करके भी रख सकते हैं
इसलिए यहाँ तक काट कर दिया। अब यहाँ मुझे हल्का क्लियर से दिखना है, मेरी तरफ फेस करना है।
वैसे वैसे बिल्कुल उल्टा दिखाना पड़ेगा
ऐसे
डायरेक्ट
ऐसे चिपकाना
हाँ
है, एंड देन ऐसे ऐसे करना
हाँ ऊपर वाला तो ट्रिम करने की जरूरत नहीं है नीचे वाला फ्लैट कर दो बस
है। नीचे वाला
हाँ फ्लैट हो गया
ऑलमोस्ट
हाँ फिर कर
साइड से काट दूँ।
अब थोड़ा थोड़ा काट ज़्यादा नहीं काटना इसी वजह से मैंने बोला था मैम को मैं बोल 4 टाइप वन कर लेना 3 सोल्यूशन कर लेना एक एंटीटेड हो जाएगा ये ऐसे नहीं आ रहा
इसमें से लेयर्स बन तो गए हैं।
है ट्राई करते हैं अगर लेयर्स बने होंगे तो पहले स्लाइस से ही हटना शुरू हो जाएगा समझ रहे हो तो नहीं
इसको
लगाएंगे
कैसे फिक्स करना
हाँ
है?
वही उसको
तो ये कोना रह रहा है।
कोई बात नहीं उससे ब्लेड तो काट के फ्लैट से ही आएगा ना
Okay, coming back to this question, let us check what have people answered. Om has answered option B and Purva has answered option B. So, veterinarian using an immobilizing gun to capture a deer is, what is this definition falling under in the context of Wildlife Protection Act? The correct answer is option A. Immobilizing gun is a weapon and capturing is hunting. So it cannot be option B or C. So let us look at again what is the definition of a weapon and what is hunting. So under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, the use of tranquilizer dart is considered a form of hunting if it is used to capture or immobilize a wild animal, and it is strictly regulated, generally prohibited for private individuals and only under permitted and specific authorized conditions. So even tranquilizing or even anesthetizing an animal is hunting, is considered hunting. And using a dart gun or a tranquilizing gun, even if the poacher or veterinarian says that I have just used a dart gun or a tranquilizer gun to anesthetize the animal, that is not allowed. That is coming under hunting. The veterinarian has to take prior permission from the chief wildlife warden and get it approved by the nearest forest officer from the forest from which he is going to tranquilize the animal, and only then it will be permitted. Otherwise, using darts or any anesthetizing agent for capturing wild animals is considered hunting. So we just revised the definitions of hunting and what is a weapon under the Wildlife Protection Act. The Wildlife Protection Act is extensive to include all kinds of weapons and tranquilizers and bows and arrows and explosives and snares and traps, so that none of the wildlife can be harmed in any way or the other and can escape legal notice. So is it clear? Even immobilizing gun to capture a deer used by a veterinarian without permit is a form of hunting, and the immobilizing gun is considered as a weapon in the context of Wildlife Protection Act. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let's move on to the ninth question. Which of these is a deterministic factor? So we saw a previous question in which we were talking about which of these is a stochastic factor. Now you tell me which of these is a deterministic factor. Option A, environmental variation. Option B, forest fire. Option C, death rate. Option D, diseases. Okay, let's take a minute and come back to this question where I will reveal what is the correct answer. Okay, let's come back to this question and check what are the answers that people have put in the chat box. Om Darsini Purba says option C. Okay. Now, which of these is a deterministic factor? Correct answer is option C, death rate. Very nice. All of you have answered nicely. Death rate is a deterministic factor which is a predictable and known cause for affecting the environment or or the population size. Now, deterministic factors are predictable, non-random forces that consistently influence forest decline or degradation. Unlike stochastic or random events, these follow a clear cause and effect relationships. So these are predictable, these are non-random, and these follow a cause and effect relationship, such as deforestation, man-made forces, deforestation of the land. So a deterministic factor is predictable and follows a cause and effect relationship in the population dynamics, such as The death rate, which is predictable demographic parameter that influences population growth, which is the death rate. So we have the birth rate, which is what is the what is the number of progenies on an average a population will give in the next generation, and death rate, how many trees in in a current stand or in a forest will die every year, is the death rate, which is a deterministic factor which is predictable. The death rate or growing growth rate of a stand can be calculated, whereas environmental variation is a stochastic factor. Calamities like forest fire usually stochastic, which is a random event, and diseases often considered stochastic when outbreaks are unpredictable. Therefore, the only deterministic factor in these options is the death rate, which is the correct answer, which is a out predictable factor affecting the population of the forest with a cause and effect relationship. We know that if the birth rate is low and the death rate is high, then there will be decrease in population and vice versa. I hope it is clear to the students. Okay, let's move on to the last question of this session. The acronym HIPPO does not include dash. Option A, habitat loss. Option B, invasive species. Option C, pollination. Option D, pollution. Again, an easy question about the acronym HIPPO. We have just discussed this acronym definition in earlier questions. If you remember that, you will be able to answer this question. Let me know your answer in the chat box and I will return to this question in a minute. Okay, let's revisit this question and find out what are the correct answer. Swayam, Om, Purva and Pranjal have all answered C. The acronym HIPPO does not include pollination. C is the correct answer because it includes habitat loss, invasive species and pollution. So again, looking at the acronym HIPPO, HIPPO effect, habitat loss or habitat destruction. I stands for invasive or introduced species, P is the pollution, and the next P is population overgrowth, and O is over harvesting or over consumption of the resources. So pollination is not something present in the HIPPO acronym, and that was the correct answer. Okay? So with this we have come to the end of our class. Let me go back. I hope everyone was able to understand. Everyone was able to understand the class, and I'm happy that people try to answer and participate in this class. Though uh, I was relatively busy with my experimental work, but still, if you have any questions or any doubts, you can ask me right here. Or if you want any concepts covered from the lecture week 6, I'm happy to cover it. Or else, if you have just liked this class, this is a recorded lecture that will be uploaded on YouTube, and the slides that I have prepared and shared with you guys in the class today will also be shared to you in the Google Drive. So next class will be for the next class and the class thereafter. I will be traveling on Saturdays, so I will send an email where we will shift the problem solving classes for the Saturday 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. slot to maybe Monday 3 to 5 p.m. slot, so that Monday or Tuesday, so that I can prepare and give you ample time as required. Because Saturday I might be traveling with low internet connection, and therefore I would request written via email to the NPTEL authorities to share the link to you guys next Saturday, and the class thereafter, lecture week 7 and 8, I will be traveling, so we will have it on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when I will be available. Okay, so with that I will end this class. See you guys in the next session. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any feedback for the slides or for the mode of conduction of the class, you can tell me. And wishing you a great happy Holi ahead. I'll end this class. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.